Cause I'm back in my zone now. Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Hi everyone, I'm Addison Ohms with Zone Student Athlete Consulting, presenting to you the Z6, where we're asking professional athletes, Division I athletes, and professionals in the sports world the same 6 questions that have to do with development, recruitment, and branding. Today for our inaugural episode, we're having on Patrick Laird, who was a preferred walk-on at Cal, became the starter, earned a scholarship, and is now entering his 3rd season in the NFL. My former teammate, Pat Laird, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't wait to get your story out there, in front of tons of athletes who are like you and me, who are just trying to make it, trying to get their name out there and get recruited. So without further ado, let's get into these 6 questions. So first one, tell me about the recruiting process for you.
Yeah, mine story is sort of interesting. My brother went and he ended up playing Ivy League football at Cornell. And so I was thinking, all right, that's kind of like where I'll head. I'll just try to get recruited by some schools on the East Coast. I grew up in California. And so I was getting recruited a little bit in my junior season. Just because I saw that's what my brother did. I didn't really know anything.
Right.
And so I'm sending out emails, sending my highlight video out, but I didn't really know the process. And then I had a good senior season in high school, and my coaches were like, hey, are you interested in trying to play at a higher level? And I said, in my mind, I didn't even think that was a possibility, because I didn't even know what a preferred walk-on was or recruited walk-on. And so
Exactly.
I said, sure, send out my tape. I don't know if anyone's going to be interested. And at the last month of my senior season, I got this, walk-on spot at Cal. And I Googled the business school and I saw it was, just as good as the Ivy League schools back east. And I said, why don't I take my shot in the Pac-12 and figured I'd just walk on and see what I can make of it. But really, I was just kind of out there not knowing much. I'm lucky I had an older brother who I saw sort of, went on a similar path, but I really had no idea what I was doing when I was going through the process. I feel like I just got lucky at the end getting that walk-on spot at Cal. And, very fortunate with how it turned out when I showed up.
Totally. And honestly, your senior career, it wasn't good. It was great. Pat ended up becoming the number 1. You were the leading rusher in California. Am I correct?
I think I was like number 2.
You were number 2. And then our teammate was number 1. Awesome. Okay. So, just as an athlete, from being a high school athlete to where you are now, tell me about your development. What worked for you? What didn't? How did all that go?
Development's been huge. So I know like a lot of people ask me now, they're like, okay, so you were a walk-on at Cal and then you end up becoming a starter for 2 years. Like, did you just not get a shot when you showed up? And I don't think that was the case. Like, I don't think it was the coaches misevaluating me. I think it was, I just wasn't as good as the other guys that showed up at the time when I was, 18, 19 years old. But the reason I ended up becoming the starter is because I just got better and better each season. And then I got my opportunity my junior and senior year to play more. So for me personally, like, development was huge just because I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I knew like there's a lot of stuff I had to do to get there. So right. I think a lot of guys that show up, we saw this freshman year, they think, hey, I'm the guy, I should be playing right away. And the confidence is good, but sometimes that stunts your development. And so I just took the idea, like, the running back I am my freshman year, I want to be a better running back sophomore year, better, and that's the same idea now. It's like, I've played in most of the games that I've been, on the roster in the NFL, but like, I think I can become an even better running back. And so having that mindset early freshman year, I think is something that helped me out. And it's hopefully it's going to help me keep playing.
Totally. And I think you're so spot on with that mindset of freshmen coming in, especially freshmen. They don't understand what they're about to jump into. And so having that confidence is good, but also having a little bit of realization of where you truly are in your process is the most important. And yeah, I remember seeing you go through that grind, and you inspired not only me, but so many others to keep pushing and developing and becoming, way better football players. So yeah, it's huge because not only did it have an impact on you, it had an impact on everyone. So now it's an interesting question. College football is kind of changing. The College Athletes Bill of Rights will be passed. It's looking like soon. So, and that's going to allow for name, image, and likeness, meaning, athletes can sort of make money off of their name. And so branding is going to be huge for these kind of athletes. So for you as a pro athlete, how important is your brand? How important is branding?
I think it's important, and it can help you on and off the field, I think, a little bit. If there's like talk about in the NFL where coaches like good pros, right? So that means you take care of your business in the weight room, the practice field, in the film room, and off the field. They want good pros. And that's the same at the college level. They want good student athletes. A coach doesn't like a headache. So a kid that can't take care of their stuff, they don't want a headache.
Yep.
And that's all part of your brand. So I didn't have the opportunity to make money off my name, image, and likeness in college. But I started, as you know, but I'm not sure your listeners know, the reading challenge, because that kind of aligned with something I valued. And when I showed up for the Dolphins, a couple of the executives had mentioned, hey, that's so cool you did a reading challenge in college. And so for branding, I think you want to be genuine. And as you guys know, like I do enjoy school, I do enjoy reading. And so that's something that aligned with me personally. I think when guys get kind of outside of their own personality, the branding becomes disingenuous. So I always tell people, just stick with what you really care about and what you're interested in, and your brand will speak for itself.
Totally. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to be the first, one on here, because when we're talking about brands, the brand that you built for yourself in college was just so genuine, and it was so true to who you were, which is so important. And so, and also the whole walk on then run, like incredible, awesome, very creative. But, that if name, image, and likeness were a thing back then, that possibly could have turned into something that you could have profited off of, or maybe you take a sponsorship or something like that.
Yeah.
So really, really cool. And I think it was really looking ahead. It was pretty smart of you to do that, and be an example for athletes to come. All right, so now we got to ask, what's your biggest regret you've had in your athletic career, whether it be your development, your recruitment, your brand? What is it to you?
I think, it's a tough question, because you learn from your mistakes and you kind of become the person you are because of your mistakes and failures.
Yep.
So I guess I wish I would have just more like early on. I always worked hard in football, and, I took it seriously. But as I said, like in my senior year, I like kind of sold myself short mentally, thinking, oh, I'm just going to go play Ivy League football. And then, there's nothing wrong with playing Ivy League football.
Right.
But in my mind, I never thought I could play at the, a higher level. And then when I got to Cal, my thought was, I just hope I play special teams. That'd be awesome. And it was like, I wish mentally I thought, hey, let me go show up. Let me try to play a lot early. Let me try to earn a scholarship early. So I didn't set my mental goals as high as I wish I did at a younger age. But luckily, I enjoy the sport, and I enjoy the process of like working hard at the sport. And so that it ended up working out, but I wish I had set my mental goals a little higher and started to like picture myself accomplishing them. Because it ended up happening my junior season, where I was like going into my junior season really thinking like I can be the guy, but who knows what type of football player I'd be today if I had started that mentality a little bit earlier.
Totally.
I guess that's a regret of mine. But again, like I learned from that, and now it's like I'm just always trying to push my mental goals, because I knew I didn't do that enough when I was younger.
Yeah. And I completely, I remember when the coaches started, telling you too, like, hey, you can be the guy, you can do it. Your confidence just went through the roof. And so it's also important to have someone there for you to be able to, give you that backing. And so like, I wouldn't blame your younger self by any means, but yeah, being able to sort of hold yourself to that higher standard is huge, just for all things in life. So yeah, but I'll never forget that. Okay. And then, between development, recruiting, branding, and especially with the advent of the NIL and all the things that are about to come out to play, how would you rank those three? How would you rank those three before? How would you rank those three after? Or, just give.
So thinking about that, they say like in advertising, like the best marketing is the best product.
Right.
So you could have great branding and all, reach out to all these coaches, but if the product's not good, the coaches aren't going to bite. So I'd say
Very
number
true.
one's development. You can do everything in the recruiting world and the branding world, but if you're not end up being a good football player, it's not going to help you out.
Right.
So I'd say development number one. And then with the recruiting process and branding, sometimes they go hand in hand. I'd say second would be recruiting. If you're a guy or girl that's like focused on just promoting yourself and your brand, over just the real product on the field and like focusing on like the real stuff in recruiting, which part of recruiting is having good grades. The coaches are going to see that, I think. So
100%.
I'd say focusing on the recruiting process second, and then third, the branding, which, as we talked about before, keep it genuine, keep it real, and the brand will take care of itself. Because especially the people that put a great product on the field or the court, the brand already starts to build for them because people start talking about how well you're playing on the field, and then your brand will kind of go from there. So I'd put it in that order, but number one, definitely development, then recruiting, and then branding. But all three can go hand in hand. But you don't want to do all the other stuff off the field and let your product on the field decline. You definitely want to keep what you're doing on the field and how you're helping your team win be the thing that's first and foremost in your mind.
Without a doubt. You couldn't be more right on that. Branding is going to play a large part in these kids now and at the college level, but definitely at the end of the day, it's exactly what you said. It's the product you put out on the field or court. What value are you adding to your team? Who's the type of person you are? So definitely couldn't agree more with ranking those three. Okay, Pat. I think this last question, the 6-1 is going to be 6-1 for the Z6 is going to be a great one for people watching you, seeing you, because you are one of the smartest people I know. If you weren't a football player, you could easily be doing something else, making a lot of money. So if football wasn't your zone, what would be your zone?
I would love to say basketball, but as we both know, I'm a little too short for that. Growing up, basketball was my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, football is probably the only thing that was going to end up working out for me. So right. I got lucky that I started focusing on football.
Yeah.
But I'm so interested in like a lot of different things that it's hard for me to pinpoint down what I really want to do post football, because I obviously know I'm not going to play football for the rest of my life.
Right.
But I studied business at Cal. I really loved it, and so hopefully when I'm done playing, I can transition somewhere into the business world, maybe somewhere in finance. But just try to find something that's just as competitive as football and professional sports in general. Just try to find something, because I love doing football now, but eventually I'm going to have to find something that I'm passionate about afterwards. And I'm hoping I can find that somewhere in the business world.
Right. And I'm sure you will. I was excited for that question, but you kind of gave me the answer I expected, something in the business world. So no, it's all good. But Pat, I seriously can't thank you enough for coming on and just giving some of your experience and some advice for high school athletes out there and helping them expect to know what they're going to get into. So thanks so much, man. And I want to have you on again. Obviously you will be. This is the first inaugural episode of Z6. So awesome. I really appreciate it. Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. And I was just thinking about back in my recruiting days, like it would have been so nice to have someone like you that like knows the process. Because as I said before, I was just swimming around in the water, didn't know where to go. So would have been great to have a resource like you. And so I'm really excited to see you start to help kids that were in similar situations to us and help them succeed. And hopefully help them succeed earlier than we did. Thanks, Pat. I appreciate that, brother. I'll see you soon. And thanks for coming on. Ballin' can't beat me up 'cause I'm back in my zone now.
cause I'm back in my zone now.